Hey guys, it's David Mackey and Sean.
Hey guys.
We're here to talk about a very disheartening situation and case that I think it's pretty important that we shed some light on it so people understand how this story happened, ways to avoid it, and more information about something like this so it just doesn't happen again. So the story we're talking about is
the story of Melissa Caddick. Melissa Caddick was a financial planner by trade, and before she started her own business as a financial planner, she was working for a company called Wise, and she actually obtained a 25% stake in the company. But because of compliance reasons, that means she probably did something fraudulent or unethical, the company let her go. And because she was let go, she claimed that she obtained a severance package of about...
Sexual harassment claim, I think it was, right?
It was sexual harassment and the severance package.
Oh, wow, okay.
86 million in severance package or sexual harassment. And that is the basis of which she used in her scheme to say that, oh, I'm able to spend this amount of money, I'm able to have this lavish lifestyle because I had 86 million.
Yeah, and I had this much money. I used to be a financial planner for a company, but things went bad because it was sexual harassment. So as a result, I'm doing this on my own.
Then afterwards, she became a financial planner on her own. And what she did was she swindled a total amount of $30 million from her clients, which primarily her friends and family.
Like imagine like all your family and friends, they like $30 million is a lot of freaking money. And it happened in a matter of like what, 2012 to 2019. So like what, 6-7 years?
6-7 years, yeah.
Yeah, to be able to swindle $30 million. Like what, how much is that? $4 to $5 million a year. Or maybe more, 5 million plus a year that you swindled. It's insane. So what happened to her anyway? How did they find out? What did she do? Let's find more information about this.
Yep. So as the clients invested the money, what they did was she created a fake ComSec account, and she must have probably got a website designer to, you know how you see fake banking accounts from scam artists and stuff like that. She probably did the same thing and created login for all her clients. And then,
so you reckon it was like an actual, like they logged in onto a website?
It must be because it says here she created fabricated ComSec portfolios and statements and fake account numbers to show her investors.
I think from what I heard, because I did a bit of research on this, I don't think it was actually a website login. I think it was actually like a statement. So she fabricated the statement itself.
Right.
Yeah, so she fabricated the statement, and the only way they figured it out was that the fake account number, it was supposed to be 9 numbers with ComSec, but it was only 6 numbers or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, so that's how they figured it out. So some investigator, one of the, because like that's the thing, like when you create a scheme like this, you scam a lot of people. One client is going to feel like they're being scammed because something sounds dodgy, and that person is going to contact authorities. They can do an investigation, they can launch an investigation, but they cannot really accuse someone yet until they've fallen, like you can prove that they're guilty. So what's happened is they mentioned, I think they put a word out there is like, how many numbers is on your ComSec statement. Yes. And if your ComSec statement is showing 6, then you've got a problem. I can't remember the exact number. And I think that's what happened. The clients that she worked with, which were family and friends, figured out that their portfolio statement that they received from Melissa Caddick was not actually real.
So let's go down into how the entire scheme, and then we can discuss the final details of it.
Yeah.
So she fabricated portfolio statements saying, like, for example, this portfolio had $20 million in it, and this is over 1 year, $20 million grew to 25 million.
Or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Because each client would give money to her to deposit into their ComSec account. That money would then be used as a Ponzi scheme to whenever someone else tries to withdraw money from the account. Yeah. So for example, if client A, client B and client C each gave $1 million, and then client C wants to take out 500,000, it will basically be taken out of this $3 million pool. And on paper, Melissa would go and say like, hey, after a year, your $1 million has become $2 million, and now you have this amount of money to withdraw.
So a Ponzi scheme is when like you take money from your current, like all the new investors, and you give it back to the old investors to make it seem like they've generated a return. And obviously you say to them that, hey, this is like your interest or the money that you received. So for example, Sean, I took money off you, let's just say $1 million, and then I ended up getting, Tito, which is one of our colleagues, to invest with us as well. And then he gave me $1 million as well, and then I went and gave you like $100,000 for that year. So you made it seem like that you made 10% return or something like that. So that's what a Ponzi scheme is. And I don't know if Melissa actually ended up taking the money and giving it to someone else. I don't know if it was a Ponzi scheme specifically. I actually think it was just a fraud. Like she just defrauded everyone.
So that means within the 8-year period, nobody withdrew money?
Well, like why would they? Like the money, well maybe they have, but I just, from what the understanding I got out of it, is that not many people withdrew because, and then just so you know, like not every single person like stayed with her for 8 years. Like some people came in at three years in, some people came in 6 years in. Yeah, so I think maybe there was some money taken out and to hush people like to keep people quiet, as in because they got their money. Or got some of their money back, but I just don't know like if it was actually to me, like from what my understanding, it wasn't actually a Ponzi scheme. It was just that she defrauded everyone. She fabricated the statements to make it seem like she was actually making a return for everyone, but really what she was doing is just taking all the money and spending it herself for personal use.
Yeah, I think from what I see from this, she played a lot with people's feelings. She obviously was really good at selling. She obviously was a great marketer, great with personal relations.
Yes.
And she just built that trust within her family and friends. And her family and friends probably adored her as well because she had a lavish lifestyle. She had huge
so everyone wanted to be like her.
Yeah.
And she was spending a lot of money. She looked after, apparently she was looking after her parents, bought a property for them. Not many people knew that like her parents sold their house to give her the money to buy a property. So yeah, it's crazy stuff. I heard stories where the parents sold the money and then sold the house and received $1 million and paid that money to her, and then she went and spending spree right after that. So I don't know if it was from the money that she received from the parents, but it was at a similar time. That's what I heard as well. So crazy story. And like, what did she buy with the money? Like, I'm actually curious, like what did she do with it?
So she bought a Gucci wedding dress, $7 million in shares, $2 million worth of jewelry, 2 properties valued at $20 million, and luxury cars.
And she went on a lot of trips, I heard as well.
Yeah. So
that's insane.
One thing I feel very saddened about this, it's an extremely high profile case. Everybody knows about Melissa Caddick. It was all over the news. And this just painted a really bad picture for the financial planning industry. And honestly, like previously I was from the financial planning industry, and I can definitely tell you that most financial planners are not fraudulent. They're actually really good people. They're really there to try to provide value to their clients. And it's because of people like her that the industry has gotten a lot harder to work and bring value to clients. Right now, if you're in the finance, if you speak to a financial planner, a lot of the cost of the financial planner is attributed to compliance costs, like the cost of trying to make sure everything's legitimate, because people like Melissa has created this situation where ASIC has to really clamp down on and make sure that nobody loses their money.
Yeah, I think in this case, like I allegedly she's like, everyone is saying that she's done this. I think personally it's pretty hard to, like the evidence is there, to be honest. Like, the ComSec statements that were sent from her are not real. So I don't know how you can rebut that. But the problem is like, and one thing that we forgot to mention is that she's missing. Like she's absolutely missing. So we can't even get that answer to figure out, if she was actually lying. Or if it's true or whatever it is, yeah? But like, I agree 100%. Like, the reason why there was a whole government investigation into, what would you call it again? The
Royal Commission?
Yeah. So the reason why there was a Royal Commission in the first place was the fact that there dodgy financial planners, doing wrong by their clients. And we know that some of the big banks out there were charging fees to, people that were dead. Some of the big banks charging fees that they shouldn't have been charging because they weren't providing service in the first place. And then, there were some bad players in the financial planning industry as well. I think this is an exception. It definitely isn't like all financial planners. I think the Royal Commission wasn't to combat this specifically. It was actually to combat the big players in the industry. Yep. So I think this is really an exception. And to be honest, it happens in not just financial planning, it happens in accounting, it happens to
every profession.
Yeah, every profession. And
construction.
Yeah, in construction as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's the ones that have, there's a lot of money to be made kind of ones. Like you don't see hairdresser is probably not the right one to say because her husband is a hairdresser. But, you don't see cleaners having some sort of elaborate plan to defraud people. It's just where the money is. Like in the industry is where there's money is. And in this case here, Melissa Caddick was in financial planning. There's a lot of money and people trusted her with the money. And I think she came also from a very, very, very sought after neighborhood as well.
Yes.
As a result of that, it was a very big deal because there's people in that neighborhood are very wealthy people. That's what people see it as, and as a result, when that happened, it was a big deal. So, what happened with her? She disappeared.
Yeah, and then let's talk about her husband first. Her husband.
Yes.
Claims that he has no clue about the scheme that she was having. And the husband's a hairdresser. The husband himself has enjoyed the luxury that Melissa has provided to the family. So what's your opinion on that, Davey?
Look, I don't really have an opinion, to be honest. I don't know the full situation of it, and I know people are gonna say he should have been able to know. Sometimes when you're you're in the same household as that person, but do you sometimes know what that person does 9 to 5? No. I don't ask questions sometimes. It's weird for me because me and my partner are in the same industry, but I know situations where I have a lot of clients, right? I have a lot of clients where the husband and the wife doesn't actually know what the husband's doing in terms of day-to-day work. So if you give him the benefit of the doubt, he might have not known. And so for me, in my situation, a lot of people are gonna say, how the hell did he not know? Maybe he was part of it, I don't know. But I do find it a bit frustrating that he is making a claim on her assets. I think that is very frustrating because, man, there's a lot of people that have been hurt in this situation. A lot of people have lost a lot of money, and those people deserve their money back. They worked really hard, and that part there left a bad taste in my mouth regarding that situation. So so I'm not saying that I don't trust the guy. I'm just saying that what he shouldn't. I don't agree with what he done.
It's also interesting that he still has the guts to go to the court and say that, okay, I want to share these assets that were stolen. What picture or what light does that paint on that person, right?
Exactly, right? If I found out that my partner of X amount of years was doing this to other people, I feel very ashamed. Yes, my partner has disappeared, but I still feel very ashamed that this happened. And as a result of that, I don't feel like I deserve any money that person has made. I would actually think that money that person's made is completely dirty money that I would not even want to touch at all. So that's just my point of view. So I agree, I 100% agree with that. So what happened with her at the end?
So at the end, from what I heard, is that ASIC raided her house and she had a full day of interviews and she was really tired from her interviews. And her husband claimed that once she got back from all the interviews, she just went to sleep. And the next day, she ran out of her house. It was assumed that she ran out of her house. One day, they found her foot and her shoe washed up shore.
It was human remains, they said, and something to do with the foot. I don't know how particular, what that meant exactly about the foot.
Oh, I saw a picture. It's her foot was chopped off, clean, and then there's the shoe and there's the foot. and then it floated up honestly. So like some people deduce that she cut her own foot off. To show that she died.
Yeah, she went for she got suicide or murdered or something like that.
Yeah.
Or she faked her own death.
Yeah, then some people deduce that the foot was cut off too clean. Because the foot was cut off so clean, either someone murdered her or she cut her own foot off. Yeah.
It's insane, right? What's I just don't understand why you would do that. Like, what's the point? Like, you live a lavish lifestyle for how many years? Like 4 years, 5 years of your life. It's gonna come back and bite you.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think the moral of the story is I want people to know out there that there are people out there, it doesn't matter what industry that are out there to try to defraud you, right? Wherever Melissa Caddick was a scam artist or a fraudster, but in the end we can't prove it, and no one can prove it, but I reckon over time we're gonna figure that out. But I think there needs to be ways where we can protect ourselves, right? So what do you reckon? How do you protect yourself in this situation from that happening?
For me, whenever I invest, I always ensure that I can take all my money out and I have access to my own portal. Like, I would go into my share portal, I'll look at every single detail, make sure that every feature is working. Sometimes I will even call the hotline of that portal. So for example, if I invested Comsec, I would even call Commonwealth Bank and say this is my client ID, this is my account, and I just want to make sure that my account.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think when you're setting up an account, for the first time whatsoever, wherever your financial planner sets it up, wherever your accountant sets it up, you should do a check. Even if that person is your family, your friend, you should just do that quick check. That quick check will change everything, right?
Yes.
So, and I've invested in crypto space. I've invested I've invested in shares before. I've also invested in family and friends' businesses before. I'm not saying that every investment has been a good investment. Every investment money hasn't gone missing or anything like that. But I just think that most of the time I've been able to work out the good ones and the bad ones by doing our checks. I think as an accountant you should check. And quick ways to check is check the person's license.
Check the person's license, check how you take money out of the account, how you put money into the account. Yes. I always do that.
Yes.
I always take $100, put it in, the next day I take the same $100 and I take it out.
Yeah.
And I see whether some accounts, some brokerage accounts allow you to put only the bank account that you entered the money from and withdraw it to that same bank account. Some brokerage accounts doesn't do that. In that case, you would probably want to make sure that you have two-factor authentication and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think also what's important is you need to do more research on the person that you're working with as well as the company that you're working with. How long has that company been running? Is there much reputation online about the company that you're working with? Check the Google reviews.
In Melissa's case, I guess it's almost impossible to
Really? I think that she didn't have a financial license.
Okay.
A simple thing like that, asking for a financial license is gonna be, I think she did say that the financial license was part of a company, but all you need to do is just check that company and call that company to find out if that financial license was related to her. Now, I think people only found out about it later on that track. I think it's important for people to do their due diligence. And when you do invest, you have to realize that investments don't always go good. It goes bad, and sometimes where it goes bad, just be sure that you could lose all your money and you'll be okay with that. Obviously it's a shit feeling to feel when you lose all your money, but you don't go putting all your life savings into an investment as well.
And you wouldn't put it all in one account. Even if let's say you have $200,000 worth of shares. For me, I would break it down to 4 brokerage accounts.
Yeah.
What do you think? Would you do that?
Oh, I to be honest, I don't have an opinion because I'm not really a great investor. I wouldn't say so. So I'm just, I think personally I'm a good accountant, a good a business owner. But when it comes to investing, I really don't know what's the right thing. So yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know at all. Me, I already mentioned a few times about me and to my clients as well that investing for me is not a big deal for right now. It's just partly because, like, you know, I think my money can be spent elsewhere. And like I said, like people that have been scammed by other people, like it's happened to me before, like not excessive money like that. So I just don't feel like my money is safe with other people. So I'd rather do it myself.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And that's why I feel a bit uncomfortable. But yes, I agree. For having 4 portfolios, not having all your money saved in one is less of a risk than having, like, you know, all your money into one brokerage account. Because we've seen cases where, you know, very known brokers out there or known brokerage platforms have gone under. Like Halifax, for example, which is quite known in the other countries, went down in Australia, which meant that a lot of our clients have lost a lot of money as well. So it happens, man. And yeah, man, when it comes to family and friends, definitely we should really pay a lot of attention to that. You shouldn't just believe what your family and friends say, even though you grew up with that person. Definitely having that type of like a boundary or like some sort of barrier just to do those checks that you need to do is better. Yeah. So what do you think about this case?
Well, I think last but not least is that the biggest moral of this story is not to be too greedy and not to try to achieve material wealth if you don't have the proper capacity or the ethical capacity to do so. Well, we do come across people who say like, hey, like I want to enter this scheme, I want to do this in order to save taxes. Both that person know and we know that it's not the right thing to do. And for us accountants at Box Advisory, we actually do not take on clients who does these kind of things. And the reason being is, like, yes, you do get more money in your bank account, but how do you feel when you go to sleep at night? Like, can you wake up every single day and not worry about negative things happening to you or your loved ones the next day? Like, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
Yeah, I always have my radar when it comes to speaking to new clients or people that have come to us, and just to determine if they are running an elaborate scheme or not. And yeah, it's very dangerous right now because in a new world that you know, online scams is quite massive, and it's very hard to prove your identity or whoever I'm speaking to is the right person. Hence why we always do identity checks, and we always ask people to, you know, show their faces when it comes to online. And the whole point of it is that, like, it's dangerous, and we got to be very careful. So we got to have our barriers, and you know, we don't know if the next person that we're speaking to is the wrong person and person that's out there to defraud you. So I think, yeah, very important for us to really have that type of understanding of how to do our checks, how to do our due diligence to confirm that this investment's right and 100% right. Don't put all your investments into one baggage. Don't trust every single person. But yeah, and trust yourself. They're the only people you can really trust, unfortunately, in the world. Yeah. Cool. So our reaction to Melissa Caddick, I think if you guys don't know much about it, you guys should actually look into it, because it's actually a really important thing. And to be honest, if you don't know much about Melissa Caddick, I'm sure in your circle, there has been someone that is in a similar situation of Melissa Caddick. So if you haven't experienced it yet, there will be one day you will, I think. You live in a society where there are a lot of people out there that are coming to get you sometimes, and you just got to be careful because some people are just greedy. So be very careful and just make sure you do your checks. And if you can't do your checks, speak to someone that can do a check.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. I think speaking to an accountant, that's because us accountants, they're probably the most notorious at, you know, being very negative when it comes to investments.
Yes.
And conservative. So we'll do our checks and make sure that's all good.
Yeah. We have very high level of attention to detail.
Yeah.
We know how what compliance requirements and things and scams that happen because of our experience. We meet so many people every single day.
Cool. All right, guys. So just so you all know, whatever we said here, it's not financial advice whatsoever. This is a disclaimer to say that we're just putting information out there and our personal opinions about a situation. We are not investigators. We do not know the full story and what is true and what is not. We've read a few articles online and we've seen what has happened with the story of Melissa Caddick, and we're just providing information that we've seen on our online as well as on the videos. Don't take this as gospel. do your own research, and what we say may not be correct as well, right? So that's it. Hope you guys enjoy it. Oh, guys, I forgot to mention, like and subscribe if you like these type of videos, and comment below if you want us to do any other type of cases and react videos regarding stories on the internet or stories that may relate to business, accounting, and tax. See you guys soon.